Okay, so we're going to go over cosine law. And like I said, we've done this formula here is to help us find the side of a triangle. And this formula here, which is still cosine law, is to help us find the angle. Okay? Now, the reason they've written two different formulas is actually this formula here has just been rearranged from the original one. And it's been set equal to cosine. So they've done all the difficult algebra for you. Okay? Also, a lot of the times when they show you cosine law, they'll write it again, or 2a is equal to b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a, and then they write another version. The reason I've only written one version is if you were forced to memorize it, it becomes really difficult to memorize three different formulas, and then again three different formulas like this for solving the angle. It's easy just to remember one and know that you can really name a triangle anything you want. Okay, so we got a little question down here from your book. We're going to quickly create it now. Okay. And the question reads something like this. Let's see the numbers they've given us. Okay, so they've given us triangle. This is 25. And they've called it ABC. I'm going to call it something else, RST. Just to give you an idea of why we can do anything we like when it comes to naming these. 25, 48 degrees, and is 20, and they want us to find this unknown side, and they call it side S. Now, first of all, know that the capital letter is usually referring to an angle, and the lowercase values are referring to a side, okay? And S, angle S will always be opposite of side S.
Yeah.
Okay? So that means 25 will be what letter?
The 25 will be T?
T, yeah. And 20 would be
R.
R, that's right. Now, see, the funny thing is, if you look at our formula, we have CAB or ABC, which is none of these letters. But I can rename a triangle any way I like, okay? And now, just keep in mind, if the C's are the values at the end, essentially what you're doing is you're solving for side C. So, we're going to manipulate this triangle and name it however we like to suit our formula. So side S is what we're looking for right now. So that's the first thing I'm going to change. I'm going to change side S, because remember I said we want to find side C. I'm going to call that angle C and this side C so that it corresponds to my formula now. Okay? And then my R and T, well, I'm just going to call them A and B. It's the C that becomes very important in this style. Okay? So, maybe I call this side A. And I call this side B. So, what we've set up now is we're looking for a side, right? Side C, which means we're looking to use this formula here. So, I'm going to write that formula out. It's going to be a little compressed here, but it's C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared minus 2 times A times B times cos C. And what we're going to do is we're going to plug values in. C is unknown, okay? So we're still looking for C squared. A, on the other hand, is 20 centimeters. So it's 20 squared. That's a squared sign, okay? Plus B is 25. So plus 25 squared. We'll need a calculator if you want to grab it. Okay, subtracted by 2 still stays as 2. But A becomes, times 20, and B becomes times 25. And the cos C is referring to the angle C.
Yeah, so.
And the angle C is 48. Okay? So let's kind of go through this step by step so we get the hang of it. C squared is equal to 20 squared should be 400, I believe. Okay? 25 squared, we'll put it into a quick calculator here. I think it's 625, but let me just double check. Yeah, 625. So plus 625. And now I want you to think of this as negative 2 times 20 times 25, if we were to type it in the calculator. Okay? So we have 2 when it's negative, times 20, which will give us negative 40, times 25. Negative 1,000. Okay? So think of it like it's negative 1,000 or negative 1,000 times. And then cos 48 is a value also, right? We can punch that into the calculator and get some decimal. So let's actually do that.
0.669.
Perfect. So it's 1,000 times 0.669. Now, according to BEDMAS, and this is where a lot of students make an error with cosine law, is this is addition. Here, this sign is multiplication. So the first thing we have to do is actually do this multiplication. And a lot of students make the error of adding this and then subtracting 1,000, which we can't do. We actually have to do the multiplication here first. So that's very important. Okay, so we're going to take that value.
Negative 100,000?
Yeah, take it as negative 1,000. All right, so c squared is equal to. I'll get you to do that number. What did you get there?
Times 0.669
699.
equals negative 699.
600. So negative 669, right? Perfect. Okay. So now we have just addition and subtraction, which we can actually equate on our calculator here. So let's do that. 400 plus 625 minus 669, 356. 356. Are we done? Is side C 356? There's one last thing we have to do.
Square root it.
That's right. The opposite of squared is the square root of a value. So we find the square root of 356 on my calculator.
18.8.
Yeah, 18.86, let's say. So 18.86. So side C is 18.86 centimeters. Great. We just solved for a side. Okay. Now, what I do want to do, yeah, I think we can squeeze another in. I would like to solve for an angle. Okay. So remember we had that angle formula. It said cos C was equal to A squared plus B squared minus C squared, all divided by 2AB, right? And we said that was the one for finding an angle. So what happened in those cases is, again, you're going to have a triangle, but in those cases you're going to have all three sides, and they want you to find a specific angle. So I'm going to rename it again RST, just so we get used to that pattern. And our side values are going to be 25, 30, and 37. 25, 37, and 30. Now I know that's not to scale. This looks like the longest side and everything, but we just got to get an idea here. Because this formula, again, is hoping for us to solve side C, let's say in the question they wanted you to find, angle R, which makes this side R, this side T, and this side S, right? Because they're opposite of those angles. Well, because our formula uses ABC, let's just rename our triangle. We're no longer going to call it RST, what they had originally given us. We're going to change it. Because they want us to find this angle being C, they want us to find that angle, so we're going to call that C, which makes this side C. And then the A and the B, again, we just kind of arbitrarily name. We'll call this A, which means this is side A, and we'll call this angle B, which makes this side B. So now in our formula, let's just kind of move this whole triangle so we have a bit of room here. Okay. Now in our formula, let's plug values in. We have cos, and this is referring to angle C. Well, it's unknown. So we just leave it as C, is equal to, side A is 37, so 37 squared, plus side B is 25 squared. Subtract side C, which is 30 squared. Okay? And all of that needs to be divided by 2 times A, and A was 37, times B, which was 25. So again, we can kind of work this out with our calculator. Still have cos C over here. Can you help me with 37 squared? I don't know that one off the top of my head.
37 squared.
Yeah, I know that 25 would be 625 and 330 would be
1,369.
1,369? Great. 25 squared is 625 and 30 squared is 900. Okay? And then underneath, 2 times 37 times 25.
2 times 227.
Times 37
Oh,
times 25.
2 times 37 times 1,850.
Perfect. Okay, now this one's a little simpler to equate. We just got to do our addition and subtraction on the top of the fraction here. So 1,369.
So this one you don't have to remember bedmass?
Well, you do, but it's not as imperative. It's not as common of a mistake in this version. The other version becomes very common because it looks like you need to subtract. And that's where a lot of students make the mistake. Okay, this one you always have to remember bedmass. It's always very important. Minus 900. So we do what's on top first. Let's just equate all of that. And that becomes 1,094. So we get 1094 divided by 1850. Okay, so we'll need our calculator for that value, right? Point
0.591.
Okay. Is that the answer? Is that what the angle is? 0.591. Does that make sense?
No, 59.
Well, actually, it's not as simple as that either. That would you're thinking of changing decimals to percentages. The real goal here is to actually get C by itself. So I have this.
Oh, so just type it in and invert it? Or
That's right. Yeah, that's right. We have to do the cos inverse when we bring it over. So C becomes equal to cos inverse of 0.591. Okay, so C will equal
53.
53 degrees. So that means that our angle C was 53 degrees. So we just went over finding a side and an angle using cosine law there. Okay, so we did both.